welcome to Radical Learning. Today we will be going over the June 2014 Regents for geometry. So first, I recommend that you take the exam so that we can go over the questions. I will post the answers to the multiple choice here. You can check which ones you need to go over. I also recommend that you have a copy of the test because I will reference it during the video. So the first question says that plane P is parallel to plane Q. So here's plane P, and here's plane Q. They are parallel. Then it says if plane P is perpendicular to line L, so let's draw a line here. You would call this line L, and P and L are perpendicular. Then plane Q is what? So it says contain line L. That would have to mean that line L is on plane Q, which it is not. It's parallel to line L. Parallel would have to be like P going this way, like this, a line like this. And that's not true either. It's perpendicular to line L. It is perpendicular because it makes 4 right angles, so that one is right, number 3. Let's check for anyways. Intersects but is not perpendicular. Well, it is perpendicular because it makes all 4 right angles. Just like line P does with line L. Okay, so number 2 is asking us for the midpoint of diagonal AC. Point A is at -5, 1, and point C is at 3, 5. In order to find the midpoint of these two, we must use the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2 to find the x-coordinate, and y1 plus y2 over 2 to find the y-coordinate. So now we have to plug this in. So -5 is x1 and 1 is y1. And 3 is x2, while 5 is y2. So, midpoint equals -5 plus 3 over 2. And for the y-coordinate, 1 plus 5 over 2. So, m equals -2 over 2 and 6 over 2, which can both be simplified. So m equals -1, comma 3, which is number 1. So in question 3, it says that angle TVQ, which is here, is equal to 5x minus 22, and angle VWS is equal to 3x plus 10. And it is asking for which value of x is PQ parallel to RS. So if they are parallel, that means their corresponding angles are equal. Corresponding angles are the matching angles, so this would equal to this. So that means that would be when 5x minus 22 is equal to 3x plus 10. From there, you can go ahead and solve it. And that equals 16. So x equals 16, which is choice number 2. So in number 4, it says that the angles of a triangle are in the ratio 2 to 3 to 4. So if we have a triangle, the angles are 2 to 3 to 4. To find the actual measure, you must use x as your variable. So this would be 2x to 3x to 4x. This way you can find x, which would be an actual measurement. So all of the angles of a triangle add up to 180. So you can use that to find x. So 180 equals all the triangles angles added together. So that would be 2x plus 3x plus 4x. So 180 is equal 9x. So that would mean x is equal to 20. But we are not done yet. The answer to this problem is not 20 because it is asking for the measure of the largest angle. And the largest angle would be 4x. So 4x is equal to 4 times 20, which is 80. So the answer to this question is number 3, 80. So number 5, it is asking for the lateral area of a right cylinder. So it says that the diameter of the base is 6. So diameter is 6 centimeters. And the height is 15 centimeters. Okay, in your reference table, it tells you that the lateral area of a right circular cylinder is equal to 2 pi radius times height. So, now you must plug in these numbers into your equation. But first, we have to figure out what the radius is, because they gave us the diameter and not the radius. And the radius is just half the diameter. So the radius is equal to 3 centimeters. So the lateral area equals 2 pi 3 times 15. So the lateral area equals 2 times 15, which is 30, and 30 times 3, which is 90. So 90 pi. And in the answer, it leaves it in terms in pi. So the answer is number 3, 90 pi. So for number 6, it is asking how many points of intersection between these two equations. And so in order to do this, I sketched a quick graph. The line y equals x just simply is a linear straight up line like this. Okay, and y plus 2x equals x squared you can turn into a quadratic, a normal quadratic equation, which would equal y equals x squared minus 2x. So, now think about how a quadratic graph looks. It is a parabola. It is either this way or this way, depending on your number. Okay. So in this case, x squared is positive, meaning it will be a parabola like this. So if we sketch that on a graph, it would look like this. And it would have 2 points of intersection. So number 7 says that the vertex of an isosceles triangle measures 15 degrees more than one of its base angles. An isosceles triangle is like this, and these two base angles are the same, they're equal. So we can call them x. And the vertex of this, which is right here, is 15 more. So that would be x plus 15. And we are looking for how many degrees in a base angle. So we are solving for x. In a triangle, there are 180 degrees. All the angles add up to 180 degrees. So x plus x plus x plus 15 is equal to 180. So that's 3x plus 15 equals 180. And then you can solve. And x equals 55. So one of the base angles equals 55, which is number 2. For number 8 is asking for the equation of a circle. So first we need to know the center, which is point O in this case, located at -1, 3. And we also need to know the radius. The radius in this circle is 3. After that, we can plug that information into the equation of a circle. The equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, the radius squared. So after that, we can plug in our information. So in this case, this -1 would be h and -3 would be k. So x minus -1, make sure you put the -1 in parentheses, squared plus y minus 3 squared equals r squared, which is 3 squared. So x plus 1 squared, then minus a negative is positive, plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 9. And that is your answer, which is answer number 1. In question number 9, it asks which statement is true. The first statement states that AB, statement 1. Okay, it states that AB is equal to CD. The second statement states that DE is equal to CD. The third statement states that AB is equal to DE. And the fourth statement states that BD is equal to AE. Okay. So the question is, which one of these can we prove true? We cannot prove these two are equal, and we can't prove that these two are equal either. But we can prove that DE is equal to BA, because since these lines are parallel, that means they have the exact same space in between them. That's what parallel lines are. Okay, so for question 10, it asks which statement is not always true regarding this. So first, let's figure out what is true. Okay, so we know that angle AEC and angle DEB are congruent because vertical angles are congruent. That means that this and this, these sides, would also be congruent. And we also know that these two must be congruent because line AB intersects CD and vice versa, so CD intersects AB. And from there you can figure out the rest. So that would equal D equals angle C and B equals angle A. and so on with the sides. So it says AC equals BD. AC equals BD. That's correct. CE equals DE. CE is equal to DE. That is also correct. Angle EAC, so this one, is equal to angle EBD. EBD. That is also correct. So, and the last one is angle ACE, so angle ACE, this one right here, is equal to DBE, which would be right here. And we know that's untrue because this one is equal to this one. So your answer is number 4. Okay, so for number 11, it's asking the length of RS from the points R and S. So, one way to think about this is through the use of a graph. We will plot point R at -2, 3. So -2, 3. This is R. And S is at 4, 5. Which is up here. So this is your point, and you're trying to find the distance in between. Now, you can think of this as a right triangle. And this right here would be the hypotenuse, which would be C. And then you can name this one B and this one A. So now you want to find C. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So C squared equals A squared. A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus B squared, which is 1, 2. So C squared equals 36 plus 4. So C squared equals 40. But we want to find C. So C equals the square root of 40, which can factor down to 2 square roots of 10. Which is the answer, number 3. Number 12 is dealing with truth statements, and it gives us 2 is prime, which is true, because the only factors of 2 are 2 and 1. Okay, so now it asks for its negation, which would be 2 is not prime. And that is false because it is. Which leads us to number 4. The statement is true and its negation is false. Number 13 asks how many sides the polygon has. It says the polygon is regular, so we know that all the exterior angles add up to 360 degrees. So we have the exterior angles all add up to 360, and then we want to divide that by each exterior angle measurement, which is 45, and that would give us how many sides? 360 divided by 45 is 8, so it has 8 sides, which is number 2. So in question 14, it is asking the length of DB. It tells us that AD is equal to 10. And properties of a rhombus say that all the sides are the same length. It also tells us that diagonal AC is 12. So right here, this right here is 12. And it is asking us for DB. Okay. Each intersection forms a 90-degree angle. So here, 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 and here. So now we may use Pythagorean theorem to figure out the length of dB. First, we have to figure out the length of this section right here, d to the middle. So if you think of this as a right triangle, this is the hypotenuse here. So 10 squared equals b squared minus a squared. So 10 squared equals, so b squared is equal to c squared minus a squared. B squared is equal to 10 squared minus half of 12, which is 6 squared. B squared is equal to 100 minus 36. B squared is equal to 64 and b is equal to 8. So this section right here is 8, and there's 2 of those that make up dB. 8 times 2 is equal to 16, which is answer number 2. Number 15 asks the length of the diameter of a sphere. So for this, we need to use the equation for the surface area of a sphere, which is equal to 4 pi r squared, r being the radius. And we are trying to find the radius, so the surface area, we've been told, is 144 pi. Now we must solve. You can divide both sides by pi to get 144 is equal to 4 r squared. And then you can divide each side by 4, giving you 36 is equal to radius squared. The square root of 36 would be equal to the square root of r squared, which is just r. So r is equal to 6. And the radius is 6. But the question is not asking for the radius, it's asking for the diameter. Diameter is 2 times the radius. So 2 times 6, which is equal to 12, which is number 3. 16 is asking which numbers could represent the lengths of a sides of a triangle. Okay, so in order to be a triangle, the 2 smaller numbers must be less than or add up to the larger number. It cannot be over. So let's try that. In number 1, 5 plus 9 equals 14, and the longer side is 14, so that one works. Number 2, 7 plus 7 is equal to 14, and the bigger number is 15, so that also works. 3, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, which is smaller than 4, so that one works. And 4, 3 plus 6 is equal to 9, which is bigger than 8, so that one does not work. So your answer is number 4. So number 17 is asking about the slope perpendicular to the equation 3y plus 2x equals 12. In order to find the slope of this equation, we should put it in y equals mx plus b format. So this would be y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. You have to subtract 2x from this side and divide everything by 3 so that you can get y equals. After you have it here, you find the slope, which is negative 2/3. A perpendicular line has an opposite reciprocal, so that means the numbers are flipped and it's the opposite side. So the slope would be 3/2, which is answer number 2. So number 18 is asking how many lines can be drawn through K that are perpendicular to plane P. And this plane, if we look at it from a different view, can be viewed as this. And point K is right here. Let's call this K. So how many lines can go through this that are perpendicular to this line? Only one, which is the answer, 1. In question number 19, it's asking for what measure C is, and it tells us that measure B, measure of angle B, is 123 degrees. Measure of angle D is 75 degrees. And it's asking for measure C, which is this one. Measure B, or measure of angle B and measure of angle C add up to 180 because of the properties of a trapezoid. So 123 plus x equals 180. So x is equal to 57, which is number 1. Number 20 is asking for the line that passes through the point for -1 and is parallel to the line whose equation is 2y minus x equals 8. This written in y equals mx plus b format is y equals 1/2 x plus 8. The slope being 1/2, which is also the slope of the new parallel line because parallel lines have equal slopes. Now we must find when x equals 0, what is y? And it gives us a point for -1. So if we go back to 3 and we add, or we subtract -1/2, it would be -1 1/2. We subtracted 1/2 because the slope is increasing by 1/2. So if we go back an x, it would be decreasing by 1/2. So 3, 2, and 1. And then we come to 0. So -2, -2 and 1/2, -3. And we find out that the the y-intercept is -3, which is part of option number 1, which is the correct one. Y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Number 21 asks about the properties of a rhombus undergoing transformation. It's saying that it's increasing x by 2 and decreasing y by 3. So that would mean it would move to the right by 2 and down by 3. So that would go like this. And it still is parallel to the first one, and the orientation, the way you read the letters, is still the same. So it preserves both parallelism and orientation, which is number 3. Number 22 is asking for the coordinates of the center and the length of a radius of the circle. We can find out the center by using our equation. This is the x coordinate, but the equation is x minus h. So the real number is just 3. So it'd be 3, and the y, there is no y minus k, so that would be 0. So that's the center, and now we have to find the radius. The radius has to do with this number right here. That would be r squared equals 8. The square root of 8 to get r is 2 square roots of 2. So it would be 3, 0, and the radius equals 2 square roots of 2, which is option number 4. Number 23 is also dealing with truth statements. It's asking which statement holds the same truth value as the original. And this would be the contrapositive statement. Contrapositive means negate and also switch the order. So, it says if a quadrilateral is a square, then it is not a rectangle. So if we switch them, it'd be if a quadrilateral and then negate them is not a rectangle, then it is not a square, which is option number 4. So number 24 is asking about the medians of a triangle. These medians go from the center of the side to the opposite angle, and they intersect and form the centroid, which is the middle point. Number 24 says the 3 medians of a triangle intersect at a point. Which of these measurements could represent the segments of one of the medians? So, what's special about this is when you form this median, let's redraw this. Each line is split up into, this is 1/3 of the line and this is 2/3 of the line. So we use that proportion to find which one matches. 2 to 3 is not equal to 1/3 to 2/3. 3 to 4.5 is not equal to that either. 3 to 6 is not equal, but 3 to 9 is equal to 1/3 to 2/3. So the answer is 4. So question number 25 is asking us to find measure of angle Q, which is up here. It says it's 4x. To find this, we must find x. So we know that these two angles added together equals this exterior angle. We know this because these two add up to 180 because they are supplementary. And these 3 add up to 180 because all 3 angles of a triangle add up to 180. So that means these two are equal to this. So 4x plus 110 is equal to x squared plus 5x. Okay, so from there we have to solve it. We can subtract the 110. So now we must solve in a quadratic form. And we cannot have a negative angle measurement, so that's out. So x equals 10. And this is asking for q, which is 4x. So 4x is equal to 40, which is answer number 2. So number 26 tells us that line RS is parallel with line QT. So I'm going to draw the parallel line so we remember that. If PR equals 12, so right here is 12, and RQ equals 8, so right here is 8, that means this whole thing PQ is 20, 12 plus 8. And PS equals 21. What is the length of PT, which is this whole thing right here? So, because these two lines are parallel, we can use a proportion. So let's say 12 PR over the whole thing, which is PQ, which we found to be 20, is equal to the part, which is 21, over the whole, which we are trying to find. So from here, you can cross multiply. So PT is equal to 35, which is answer 3. So number 27 asks which reasons can be used to prove that WX equals YZ. So it tells us that WY, which is this segment here, is equal to XZ, which is this segment here. So the properties that we can use are the reflexive, because XY is equal to itself. Okay, so XY is equal to itself because it's the same segment. Now, since we know that we can subtract this segment, XY, from this line and this segment because they are the same, which would be the subtraction. So, our answer is number 2, the reflexive and subtraction. So number 28 tells us that the endpoints of the diameter are 2, 0, and 2, -8. So we know that the distance between -8 and 0 is 8. So the absolute value is 8, which we can find the radius, because this 8 is the diameter and the radius is half the diameter. So the radius is equal to 4. Now, the point in between these two, in between -8 and 0, the middle would be -4. So the middle point, the midpoint is 2, -4. Now, we take that info that we just found and we plug it into the equation of a circle to find the equation for this circle. The equation for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to radius squared. So we take our points, our point to -4, and we plug it in. This is the h value and this is the k value. So x minus 2 squared plus y minus -4, which is actually adding. So y plus 4 squared is equal to radius squared, which is 4 squared, which equals 16. So that would be number 1.